Okay, so this movie I watched a long time ago. This one's called Fighting with My Family. As a wrestling fan, I really enjoyed that this was a movie that was being made. It's about one of my favorite female wrestlers, Paige, and her, like, getting to WrestleMania 30, or the Raw after WrestleMania 30, fighting for the Women's Championship and winning the Divas Championship against AJ Lee. Um, I kind of like it, kind of didn't. Starts out really good talking about her family and like her family's wrestling promotion and how it's fake. Like a lot of her classmates are like, it's fake, it's stupid. You guys are just a bunch of weirdos, and just building up that, you learn about her older brother who tried out for WWE and failed, and he fell into like a deep depression, and then was in jail. Her parents are like former criminals and all that stuff. So, like that was really cool. You met her older brother Zach, who was like a teacher teaching these kids and making sure that they like did better and all that stuff. And so like movie starts out, she hates wrestling, but like they demanded her to be replaced to replace against her brother. They end up having a phenomenal match, which how she did that with little to no training, I have no idea. But she like loved wrestling then. And so like they keep going on and on and on, and eventually like you learn that like the brother Zach is like trying to teach this blind kid how to wrestle, and I don't know if he actually exists or not. Half of this movie is complete bullshit anyways, so I'm just taking that through just light. And I'm talking fast about this movie. Not a lot happens for the most part. So it's a good movie if you don't know the truth. Then that's fine. Like if you're watching it as a movie, it's fine as a movie. But as a documentary of an actual person's life, it's terrible because like you can easily document the truth. And so they get a call from WWE saying, "Hey, we want you guys to try out." So they do, and you see Pete Dunne, or like a person who looks like Pete Dunne. He's there, and like you see The Rock, and The Rock's like gives them like a pep talk, and like they're all like lined up, and like so like Pete Dunne's there, and like there's a little "I'm sorry, ma'am" joke talking, because he's got long hair. Ha 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 ha. It actually sounds like a lot of the jokes in this sounds like jokes that would be in a wrestling promo. Like, not gonna lie. So they go this. Paige is the only one accepted. Zach is like depressed because he's like, I want to be a WWE superstar too. And so things go on and on and on. And she goes to Orlando to start becoming a WWE superstar and joining NXT, which is their developmental territory for those who don't watch wrestling now. NXT is an actual thing. It's their developmental. Basically, that's where they build the characters and then move them up to WWE to be big stars. Arguably now, NXT is bigger than WWE in terms of likability. So, things go on. She meets a bunch of these, like, blonde, prissy girls. Which, by the way, I want to point out, they're acting, before I go any further, they acting like this all happened in, like, a span of a year. Paige actually joined FCW, Florida Championship Wrestling, which was the wrestling promotion prior to NXT for their developmental, back in 2010. WrestleMania 30 happened in 2014. So she was in wrestling, or WWE, for 4 years before she had that fight against AJ Lee. So already I'm kind of ticked off because they're showing a very dishonest version of this movie. not accurate at all. So, anyways, prissy girls that she can't get along with because she's the different girl. She's the goth emo chick who just can't get along with the blonde models and stuff, and it's just so stupid. So she has like image issues. So she like dyes her hair and tans her skin, and like she was really bad at promos, which may have happened. It was just stupid. Like, the way they did it in the movie was just dumb. And like, and even like Paige made a comment. She's like, oh, there was more than just those 4. There was like 8 or 9, and they all failed, but I succeeded. And it just really, like, Paige, like, since this movie's released, I have disliked Paige as a person. Like, just overall, I just cannot stand her anymore. Because she's like, only a couple things were wrong. No. You know what? No. Screw this. Entire movie was total bullshit. So, Vince Vaughn's character didn't even exist. He was a combination of all the coaches, of, like, Dusty Rhodes, freaking, I can't remember his name, Albert, all them just all put together. And, like, there's this one story that he's like, you know, he's like, yeah, your brother is not good for this. Because she's like, my brother deserves to be here. And there was, like, some bullshit, like, she goes back home and, like, her brother, like, does a shoot fight, which, for those who don't know, shoot fight basically means when wrestling gets real and, like, the guy or girl actually tries to hurt their opponent. And so, yeah, so, like, she's going on, and she, like, tells the brother, like, I don't even want to be here. And the brother's like, you know, it's really bad. I don't have my dream, and yet you did get the dream, and now you don't want it. How insulting can you be? And she's like, and that's when she's like, okay, fine, I'm going to go back. And so she does, and, like, she sucks at promos, and she's trying, and, like, so then, like, she becomes friends with the girls after basically spilling the beans on everything of, like, why she doesn't like them or some shit. And so, like, she starts training them of how to do the moves and stuff like that. And they have, like, a phenomenal match at this, like, venue of, like, 5 people. And, like, she still can't get a promo down. And, it's just so stupid. And I almost want to show, like, the scenes, but I can't, because I'll get copyrighted. But it just aggravated me so much, because this movie, like, totally lied. And, like, pretended this all happened in, like, a span of, like, 6 months to a year. And it's like, no, she was in WWE for, like, 4 years before she, like, got to the main roster. And so it kept going on, and, like, they just skipped a big part of Paige's career, and really pissed me off, because I was looking forward to seeing that match. And nope, we're just gonna pretend it never happened, because for those who don't know, NXT used to be kind of a bullshit show where you had to do a bunch of challenges, and it was just bullshit. Like, it was just, like, useless entertainment. It wasn't wrestling. I mean, there was some wrestling in it, but for the most part, it was like, do a promo about spaghetti. And it was just like to basically see if they could do these things, like, on top of the hat, which was interesting, but it was also really dumb. But then NXT became an actual wrestling promotion where there was wrestling and storylines with wrestling. And Paige was the first NXT women's champion. Guess what didn't happen in the movie? Nothing but the NXT championships. It was almost as if, like, NXT was like a training ground in the movie. There was, like, no actual wrestling. It was just, like, occasional matches, but for the most part, you're just training to be there. And it was just really bad and dumb. And then, like, so, by the way, Zelina Vega did a really decent AJ Lee, if only the writing was accurate to what happened. So, WrestleMania 30 happens. She's in the back, and, like, The Rock is there, and so he's like, yeah, we should call your parents and tell them the good news. And, like, basically tells the parents, like, yeah, your daughter's going to fight for the Divas Championship tomorrow night on Raw. Which may have happened. I don't really know about all of that. You saw Sheamus and Big Show talking about hot dogs, because that was necessary, I guess. And, I mean, it was a funny scene. I love Sheamus and I love Big Show, so like, I wasn't complaining about that scene. I just thought it was pointless. So then, like, it's that night at Raw, and she's, like, freaking the fuck out, saying, like, oh, God, I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm not good at promos or anything like that. I'm not ready for this. And, like, so the brother, so, like, her brother calls, or she calls her brother, one of the two, and he's like, you can do this. And, I know I'm mocking the British accent, but, like, this movie just aggravated me so freaking much. So, she goes out there, and it's just AJ Lee, which, by the way, is also inaccurate because there was another person there present. Her name was Tamina. She is the daughter of Superfly Snuka. Some of your parents, if for the younger viewers, some of your parents may know Superfly Snuka. He's one of the biggest wrestlers. He had some, like, stuff going on, some allegations about him murdering someone, and I think it was pretty much true. So, but yeah, Tamina was nowhere to be seen, even though Tamina was, like, a part of all of AJ's storylines. Tamina was, like, AJ's, like, bodyguard. So she should have been there by all means, but she wasn't. So, like, already I'm aggravated. I'm like, wait, where's Tamina at? That's kind of dumb. And so, keeps going. And Zelina says nothing of what AJ said, which is not Zelina's fault. I'm not going to blame Zelina at all for this movie. She was just an actor. The writers is at fault. And, like, Paige freezes up, which, again, doesn't happen in real life. Paige actually does a pretty decent promo. Like, I'm just here to congratulate you, and I want that belt. Well, she has also the NXT Women's Championship during this match. She defeats AJ Lee, and in the movie, it was a much shorter match, and a very bad, like, if it was an actual wrestling match, it would be terrible. Like, completely awful. But in real WWE, it was actually pretty good. It was actually a pretty good match. I recommend watching it. It's not a very long match, but it's a good match. So, like, Paige does her brother's move, which was called the Zack Attack, and she called it the Paige Turner, which is real. Like, I do think that is legit. Yeah, and I'm skipping a lot because it was stupid. The best storyline was about the brother and fighting his depression because he lost his chance to do WWE. That is the storyline I actually absolutely loved. He went through his actual story arc, not this bullshit. And maybe it's because I liked the brother storyline because I know what happened in Paige's life. I know what happened. NXT Championship, and then goes to the Raw after WrestleMania and beats AJ Lee for the title, and she becomes the youngest Divas champion. And I think she's still the only person who's won both the Divas Championship and the NXT's Championship. So yeah, complete bullshit. Like, it's not a bad movie. Like I said, the brother storyline about him, like, getting married and having the kid, and a whole 9 yards. That's intense. That's real. Like, that is real. Like, that actually happens in some people's lives. And I loved it. But the Paige storyline was complete and utter bullshit. And it really ticked me off that, like, even Paige was like, oh, yeah, this is only, like, slightly inaccurate. Like, there's only a couple of things. Like, the Vince Vaughn character not being real. It's like, no, there's a lot of inconsistencies here with your real life. I don't know how much drugs and drinking you've been doing, but no, that's not how it would happen. Anyways, comment, like, and subscribe. That's all I got today. So have a good day. Have an awesome day and a good night.